Hello everyone and welcome to rural Germany. I know it's been a while, but we're finally back with another video, so I hope you enjoy it. In today's episode we are going to build a very small commercial area, and then on the hill at the back of that commercial area we are going to add a vineyard. And because I like to put in those small details on random places, we are also going to add a very small chapel next to that vineyard, which has a great look on the town below and gives that entire area a more detailed and realistic vibe. To come back to the commercial area, I really wanted to use this Norma building over here, but I am just not a great fan of the original roof. So what I decided to do is to put some roof surfaces on top that have a color and texture that I like more and also fits better to the store that we placed next to it. It was a little bit of a challenge to do that because the roof of this building has a lot of diagonal edges, but with some node controller and move it work, we got the job done and it looks really good in my opinion. Here I am adding some bollards in front of the entrance area of the store to give some more safety to the pedestrians that want to enter or exit the store. And we are also adding a planter with some flower bushes to make it look a little bit more alive. Obviously we need a parking lot too for this commercial area, because it is a really rural region, so most people will come by car to do their shopping. I decided I'd create one parking lot for both the stores in front of the Aldi, which we are doing in the classical way, using asphalt surfaces and one little road that leads into it to make it look like it is really connected to the road network. One thing that I am doing different from my normal parking lot procedures is that when scrolling through Find It, I saw that I had some raisable parking lots subscribed. So instead of using parking decals, I figured I'd give this a try and see if Sims are actually going to park there, or if I just completely misread the description and it isn't functional at all. Next up we are going to create a little rock wall behind the commercial area that we just built before we continue with the vineyard. I wanted to add this rock face because in my opinion it really looks like the commercial area was built not so long ago, and to get the flat area they needed for this commercial area they excavated a part of the hill, and to not damage the rest of the vineyard they left a small rock face behind the space that they needed for their shops. This again was a little bit tricky because I wanted to have a typical rural path running above the rock face, because I feel like that would be a very realistic border between the rocks and the vineyard, and it just feels right to have a road there. But with two roads that close to each other and having to plop rocks in between was a little bit tricky, so some PO came in handy and the gaps that were left were filled up with some flowers. So yeah, now the rock structure is all set up, we can continue with detailing this rock face with trees and, as I said, flowers. And when we finish that, we can finally move on to the vineyard. So after that cinematic of the progress so far, we are finally continuing with the vineyard. As you can see by the road layout, it is going to be pretty big, and I can tell you it's also pretty heavy on FPS, because I searched for some good vineyard assets and there's just going to be a lot of them. But it's all worth it because it looks really nice in the end. So yeah, let's just get into it. We placed this road to mark the borders of the vineyard, but I felt that it was a little too wide, so we are decreasing the stretch of the road with Node Controller. Now we've done that, we need to do some terraforming to fix the little cliffs that we've created by placing this road, because we want this hill to look very smooth and nice. The next thing that we're going to do is using Network Multitool to draw out a parallel road along this little stretch of the border road that we just created, and for that we'll be using the same type of road that is running on top of the rock face. Then we're going to use the Network Multitool once again to place a wall in the middle between those roads, which just gave me very big vineyard vibes. It just feels like something like that would be there in a vineyard. You could argue that the asphalted road on one side of the wall is public space and the road on the other side is part of the vineyard, and the wall is there to make it harder for people to just sneak in and steal some grapes. Obviously the wall is just symbolic because there's enough holes in the wall and places where there isn't even a wall where you can just sneak through, and if you really want to steal grapes you can just do so. But it's the idea that counts, right? Anyways, while I was talking about that, we also created one of these gaps in the wall. This one is mainly used by vehicles that drive up there to collect the grapes and use that place to switch from the public road into the road on the side of the vineyard. But the thing that's maybe more important is that we started placing the vineyard props. We use Prop Line Tool for that, and then we're using Move It to copy those lines and place them all over the hill. Because there's not much to say about that, I'll just play some nice music and I hope you enjoy the vineyard placing time-lapse. Yeah, you can clearly see that that vineyard took some time. I even cut out some parts because it was too repetitive, me filling in some leftover places by hand with singular vineyard props. That alone probably cost me around 40 minutes. But I decided to leave it out because that would just be way too boring to watch. Anyways, we've come to an end of the vineyard placing, so I decided to include some cinematics. After the cinematics we still have a part of the video, so don't think this is the end. But yeah, just enjoy the cinematics and I'll be right back. For the last part of today's video, we are going to create a little chapel over here, right where the road makes a turn to continue along the vineyard. You see these chapels a lot around the rural regions on spots like these, and I decided I would include one because it is a perfect place, as it will have a nice view on the town on the other side, and it makes the hill a little bit less boring and repetitive, and that's what I like to do, add little details everywhere to make it more realistic and more interesting as well. Obviously a chapel alone is not enough, so we are going to detail a little bit around it with some mud decals, benches, tire tracks that simulate a path leading into the wilderness, and obviously some trees in the background. With that being said, this is the end of today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm glad to be back with videos. Hopefully I won't be away for over a month now. Let me know what you thought of this little bit different episode. We've had a little bit more moving with the camera and obviously a very different build from what I usually do. I mean, I've never created a vineyard before. So yeah, if you enjoyed it, make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you haven't done so. Massive thank you to my patrons, and then I'll see you in the next one. Enjoy the cinematics.